Ireland is filled with adventures through the hillsides and streams. The list of work to be done on the family farm has no end, leading to some young boys running far off into the hills to escape the calls to return home. Out in their own little parts of the world, or so it feels, they playfully cross streams and dart from bank to bank. The voices nagging them that there is more work to be done are carried off in the wind. You could not blame the children who wanted to go out and play, especially as the work would be done in the end, most likely. However, the ones who ran off into the hills the most and preferred exploration to playing in the village often kept that tendency as they grew up. For one lad in particular, growing up led to more responsibility, which he adeptly took on and completed. The struggles of his older siblings and family members having taught him about the necessity of a long, hard day's work. Over the years, he had learned it was best not to run off and explore somewhere new unless you had planned out your travels. In this way, he believed he could perform his duties on the farm and then let loose his explorative and more mischievous side in a manner that his father did not condone, but couldn't get too mad at him for. For years, he spent a few short days at a time, traveling as far around as his feet would take him. Life at the farm continued on. Family members came and went through births and illnesses alike. The boy was now a young man. He had learned his father's trade, but wished for something more, a different life than that of an Irish farmer. He had learned to work hard with his body as the farm life demanded, but his mind consumed every bit of news about distant lands with much fervor. Then came the day that his dream to pursue a different life in the New World became a potential reality. But leaving the only home you have ever known was not an easy task. This is where the knowns about the life of a young man on an Irish farm ends, and the mystery of an Irish immigrant in New York City begins. Over time, we have slowly uncovered who sent him there, and who he met upon arrival. It has been made clear that his quick mind served him well. After his Atlantic voyage, nerves and stress making any traveler high-strung, he was thrust into the bustling city of New York. But fortunately, he had a place to go, and people to rely on, with a job pre-arranged by his sponsor. The mischievous and adventurous tendencies of his youth were not left behind in the Emerald Isle, and whatever his job was, would not see him stay in New York for long. His mission would see him return to Ireland. This of the poor son of an Irish farmer, and when most people made a voyage across the Atlantic only once. Rarely did immigrants to the USA earn enough money to make a return trip east, let alone it be a frequent occurrence. The answers to why, and for whom, will be revealed over time. He would marry his Irish wife in New York, and his descendants would be American. His life was still filled with troubles, his tongue speaking of its own too often, but the shroud around the truth of what he did and why he traveled between countries for work was never lifted. The mystery of who sponsored him to leave Ireland is not a story that even his children seem to have known. To his neighbors, he was a family man, a smart man, and a humble Catholic. He was one of hundreds of Irish immigrants who liked to dance, gather, and sing songs of their homeland, and who went to church every Sunday. And so the true nature of what brought him across the Atlantic could have been assumed to fit into the standard immigrant story of the time, and the principles of the American dream that flooded the streets of New York with hopeful new residents. His journey will unfold in our story. Some papers and stories have been uncovered by his descendants in our modern technological era that have solved some of these mysteries. Stay tuned for further episodes of Murray Residence and all of the family mysteries that will be disclosed.